What up with the people? My name is Sylvester Jr. and this is Culture by Sylvester, Conversations with My Father. Man, we several get-downs in, and today I want to talk to you about something that was extremely pivotal in my life, although I didn't really get it locked in until a little later. But me and the old man had a conversation, and the conversation was actually about the power of a conversation.
That's how you say it, right?
Afro right here, or somewhat of an afro. It's not big, no. But they want us to wear skinhead, what they call it, high and tight. High and tight. It's not my culture.
That's what we talked about. There's power in conversing with other people. The old man told me, he said, one of the purposes of communication is to exchange ideas. You know, at least have a conversation. He said, just because it hasn't happened or just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done. So I went on to tell him about a situation where, frankly, I missed an opportunity. And this goes back to my late teen years. I was probably 17, 18. In the area where I grew up at, it's called OAK. That's between 95th and 99th Street, hosted to Vincennes. There's a park there called Oakdale Park. OAK is called the area. That's what the area is called. And I told y'all before, every area I lived in, it was like GD or nothing. Well, this is one of them GD's areas. But at Vincennes, there's these railroad tracks. And on the other side of the railroad tracks, there's a different area. There was Stones over there. And so if you're not from Chicago, GDs and Stones, those are two different gangs in the city. It was pretty much real prevalent when I was coming up. And man, there's a situation happened back, I'm like 17, 18 years old, and I became a wanted man. The guys from across the tracks, I went from being, obscure, not really nobody on their radar, to like, they wanted me. And what happened was, one of my best guys, the guy lived right across the street from me. I've known him all his life. We 1 year apart. He's like one of my best guys. They didn't like him. So they came up there this particular day. Now, one thing about the guys from across the track, I will give them credit. They used to come deep. I mean, deep. It was not unusual for them to come about 125 guys, But this particular day, they wasn't too deep. It was probably about 40 of them. And they come through about 40 deep, and they came at my guy. So my guy and one of they guys, they going heads up. The little fight it's kind of boring, nothing really going on there. But another fight jumps off between another one of our guys and one of they guys. And our guy this time is smashing they guy. So while our guy smashing they guy, about 4 or 5 of them kind of herd my man off, rope him off to the side and started trying to get out on him. So, I ran over there and I knocked the guy out. I one hit a quitter. I knocked this dude out. So that didn't sit too well with those guys. And a couple of weeks later, there was another incident at the carnival. We used to have carnivals in the summertime at our park. And there was another incident. Some guy got smacked, and my name was involved and all that. So I ended up being somebody who they really wanted. So for the next week or two, I would walk around with I would have a bat or some type of weapon with me everywhere I went in the hood for the next couple of weeks, or I had a few of the guys with me, and they ran up on me a couple of times, but I would always have a weapon, so they never got me. But this particular day, I'm telling my old man this story, I just decided to run up to the park. I'm dolo, I'm by myself, and man, they drive down on me. It's about 9 of them. I'm by myself. And I'm like, oh, I'm smoked. They about to get me. This is it. You know what I'm saying? It's over for me. And it was this guy. On my end, we used to call him Bullhead. They called him Bullhead because he had a big head, but I'm not going to call him Bullhead because I got a big head. So I'm going to call him what they called him across the tracks. They called him Kevin. And Kevin was kind of calling it for these guys. And I grew to respect Kevin this day. Even though Kevin used to gang bang, he used to really be on some gang banging. And he was behind a lot of our pain and suffering. But I grew to respect Kevin this day because he said, man, hey, people, let me holler at you, man. They used to call me Pee Wee back then, or P folks. And I say, man, what you mean holler at me? No, you can't holler at me. Hey, Pee, holler from over there. You know, we ain't getting no closer. You know, we're not getting any closer than this because if y'all get any closer, I'm swinging. And Kevin like, no, man, it's good. I just want to holler at you, man. I don't talk to you, man. I'm like, no, man, we can't talk. You know, I'm very obstinate about that. So he said, man, you tripping because they here, you know. He said, man, look, it's about 9 guys. He said, man, they ain't going to do nothing. They ain't going to move unless I tell them to move. And when he said that, the way that they responded, or better yet, their lack of response, let me know that, man, it's true. They not going to move unless he said nothing to move. I understand leadership. He was the leader. So they just kind of stood down and, you know, he's like, man, let me holler at you, man. We need to talk. So I'm like, man, what's up, man? He said, man, let's get a beer, man. Sit down, get a beer and talk, you know, like 2 guys. He's like, what kind of beer you drink? Me, I'm being a jerk. I said, man, I drink GDs, nigga. You know, I drink GDs. And that's a Miller Jr. Dry. That's what we was drinking back in the day. He said, all right, cool, let's get some GDs, you know what I'm saying? And the liquor store on their side of the tracks, right? It's right across the tracks, too. He wanted me to walk over there with them to get the beer and come back. I'm like, man, I'm not going nowhere. You crazy. He like, God, man, look, quit tripping, man. I told you, let's go get the beer. We come back over here, drink the beer, and sit down and talk. So I say, all right, man, I'm going to go into the store. And so I'm telling my old man this story, right? And the old man, he was saying, you know, people forget things and people imagine things. Therefore, people disagree on things. He says, but always remember, man, there is no reason to slap leather. You ain't got to do all that, you know. He says, the only thing you got to do is to try and be fair. For in the ideal scheme of things, he said, the righteous must be fair. And the righteous will always prevail. So, you know, be cool. You know, be willing to talk. So I went on to tell the old man what happened after we came back and got the bill. We got the bill, we came back, and Kev, he said, man, look, this my problem. This is our issue. He said, we don't like old boy. And what he was talking about was one of my main guys, the ones they tried to jump on that day. And now this guy, like I said, we 1 year apart. He's my best friend. Live across the street from I eat at his house. He's at my house. I know all his 5 brothers and sisters, his mom and daddy. He know my grandmama, grandfather, mama, brothers, cousins. He family. So I'm like, man, I can't give you him. I wasn't giving you nobody. I wasn't giving none of the guys, but you definitely am not. So, you know, he talking about this guy, and then he tell me about another guy he wanted, who also, neither one of these guys was in no gang. Neither one of them, they both was hoopers. The other one was a hooper. He's a little older than me, but he was my guy too. His older brother is my older brother. You know, his older brother is my guy. His little brother is my guy. His mom and daddy, before his mom and dad, he barbecue in their backyard. We are very close in the community over here. I'm like, man, you might as well stop talking if you think I'm handing you over one of the guys. That ain't it. And he never said he wanted me to hand him over one of the guys, but he just wanted to talk it through. And so I'm telling the old man that, and the old man said, you know, all people, no matter what color, shape, size, gender, whatever it is about them, whatever condition, he says, we are deemed to, to exhibit sympathy and compassion to other people. So when you give a person an opportunity to talk and you take the opportunity to listen, as a human being, you have what it takes to exhibit sympathy and compassion. So always take the opportunity to have a conversation, man. He said the wolf, he said like lower life forms like the wolf and the tiger or the lion and the bear. He said, man, they will slay you without mercy. He says the shark and the piranha and things underwater like that, he says they will attack you without compromise. He says, but us as civilized, intelligent beings, we must live in accordance to how God created us to be. And we've been given, out of all these life forms on earth, lions, tigers, bears, birds, we are the only one who have the innate ability to have a conversation. We can speak things and the other one can hear it and it can trigger things and he can respond and we can go back and forth and have this symphony. And at the end of that, we can come to some resolve. That's what the conversation is for. That's why we have these things. That's why we've been given this particular gift, unlike a piranha. He says, so the fact that you would absolutely close your mind to any alternative form of resolving this matter, that's incorrect. You were wrong. And I stood there corrected. Because he said as a civilized, intelligent being, that's what the expectation is, that you would do that. That's why we are the civil ones. That's why we are the intelligent ones. That's what we do. So you missed an opportunity. So I say that to say, man, you know what? Not only did I miss an opportunity that day to work through something with Kevin, where me and Kevin could have been cool, that area and the area that I'm from, this 20, 30 years later, they still warring. They're still warring. Had I not been so obstinate, and had I not been so hell-bent on not having this dialogue, perhaps we could have come to some happy medium that would have impacted both of those communities today, where they wouldn't be fighting today. Maybe some of the people who have died within both of those communities may not have had to die had I been mature enough to understand what he was trying to get to at that time and had gave that conversation the best opportunity to be successful. I put the kibosh on that because I was immature. So I say that to say to you today in 2023, are there times where you had the opportunity or you could have created the opportunity to have a civil, intelligent conversation with someone, you know, even if it means you just agree to disagree and you say, okay, well, I don't mess with you, you don't mess with me, and that's just what it is. But that's better than slapping leather or fighting or shooting and someone dies, you know, because we're having a lot of that happening out here in our community. So I don't want to belabor you with that point. Again, it's just about creating, using the civility that we have as a society and the intellect that we have as a human being and using it for your betterment. Look for situations where you can create conversations that may change things for both you and the opposing party. That's the moral of the story. That's the end of this get out. What I want you guys to now know is that some of you may follow me on IG. Those of you who don't follow me on IG, I can be found at culture_by Sylvester. That's CUUULCHA_by Sylvester. Again, that's C3UsLCHA_by Sylvester. You can also find me on YouTube at Culture by Sylvester. I have a lot of shorts going there now. But pretty soon, I'm going to start having some more long-term content like these get-outs right here. That's enough of that. As my old man used to say, until next time, to be continued. Over and out. Like I like to say, much love, much respect. Revolutionary.